So, just over 1,000 miles, and 4 weeks ago, I traded in my trusty Kawasaki Versys 650 for this Suzuki V-Strom 800DE. In that time, I've been on highways, I've been on dirt roads, I've been on gravel tracks, I've been on country lanes, I've been in deep sand, I've been in deep ruts, and everything in between. So I think it's about time that I give you my review of this bike. This isn't going to be a spec sheet readout, there's plenty of those. This is going to be a what is this bike like to live with. So why did I replace the Versys? Simply because while it was a fantastic touring machine and it was brilliant to learn on, I outgrew it quite quickly, and I realised I wanted to do some more adventure riding, and the Versys just wasn't going to cut the mustard. So what are the things that attracted me to this bike? First of all, we've got good suspension travel, good ground clearance, different rider modes, and I mean, it's gorgeous, look at it. So yeah, I wanted something capable of comfortable long distance touring, but something that was also capable that if I wanted to go off-road, I'm more than happy to do so with this machine. Of course, this has got Suzuki's bulletproof reliability. It's a very affordable bike for what you get, and basically this thing will never outstrip my abilities. I'm a confident rider, but the things that I've seen some people do with this bike, I will never, ever in my wildest dreams be able to achieve. So this is more than enough bike for someone like me. Now, like I said, this isn't going to be a spec sheet run, but I feel it's worth mentioning a few numbers just so we have a little bit of context about what we're talking about. So this is a 776cc parallel twin engine, and it produces 79 Newton meters of torque and 84 brake horsepower. This is plenty for someone like me. It can munch the miles on the road, but then it's got enough torque and grunt to get you out of some pretty spicy situations. The low RPM performance on this bike is genuinely incredible. You can rarely use first, which I know is probably the same for most bikes, but just leave it in second and it will go. If you need to get up a rocky trail, it will just it will tractor its way up like the best adventure bikes on the market, and I truly believe that. The riding position of this bike, again, is very, very good. One of the reasons I got rid of the Versys is because from the hip to the foot pegs, you're squashed up like this, and I've got nerve issues in my back, and during my Scotland trip that caused me quite a lot of pain. So this is a much better position. There is more space between the seat height and the foot peg. The foot pegs are further forward. So as far as comfortability when you're sitting down for munching the motorway miles, it is brilliant. And the vibrations aren't that bad either. Some people say that it can get quite vibey, but I find that with most big bikes like this, that is just going to be the case. The engine is fun and engaging, and if you really want to push it and have some fun, it will do that all day very, very happily. Before I switched out to the off-road tyres, the 50/50s, I was on Metzeler Tourance tyres that came with the bike, not OEM. I did buy this second hand. When I was on those road tyres, you push and push and push, and the bike just wants to go with you. It is a excitable puppy that just wants to play, and it is so confidence inspiring that it allows you to do so. And then there's the feeling when you take it off-road. I am a novice at best when it comes to off-road and adventure riding, but this thing, just getting on it, I feel like it raised my skill 3 or 4-fold, purely because of the confidence that this bike inspires. I know I've got the ground clearance to hit some pretty gnarly holes. I know I've got the 21-inch front to get me through any ruts. Potholes on the road, it soaks them up. It's brilliant. The suspension is soft. This is a very common thing. If you've watched other videos on this bike, everyone will mention that the suspension is quite soft as stock. And it is. Now I'm, 75 kilograms? And I've left the suspension as it is. And as it stands, it is a bit soft. I've given it a couple of clicks on the rear preload this morning, actually. That seemed to improve the kind of the bounciness a little bit. Very, very good though. The ergonomics of this bike off-road as well are very, very good. When standing up, now I'm 6 foot. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what my inseam is. I think I'm a 32-inch inseam. Standing up is very comfortable once you've rolled the bars forward a little bit. They're quite low as stock, and I found myself having to kind of do this, and I was bending too much. So now I've rolled these forward, it is a little bit better. It's still very capable. When you are active on the bike and you're moving and you're riding the ruts, you're riding the potholes, it doesn't really matter because you're using your body as a suspension. You're not really limited by having to be a little bit hunched over. And in fact, you don't want to be prairie dogging anyway, because it's just bad technique. The wind buffeting, now my opinion here is going to be a little bit thin, because I've got the Puig touring screen on it that came with the bike. Again, not as standard, this was an add-on from the previous owner. I haven't ridden with the original stock windshield yet, but I can say around here it is very nice. So we've got 5 different traction control modes. We've got gravel, we've got off, and then we've got 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 are just different levels of road riding, whether you're in the wet, whether you're really pushing it, or whether you want, minimum intervention or maximum intervention. You've got all your options there. We've also got 3 different throttle maps as well. We've got A, which is an aggressive, hard, straight onto the gas, and you go. We've got B, which is a little bit more refined, a little bit more restrained, and better for the slow kind of chuggy off-road segments. And then we've got 3, which is basically designed for very, very soft throttle response for riding in the rain. And then we have a suite of ABS package as well. Again, that comes in 1, 2, and 3, and it also comes in off. Now the ABS, when it's switched off, you do still have the front ABS on there. For a rider of my ability, that is no issue. I've run into absolutely no problems with it at all. And it is obviously nice as a learner to be able to lock the back wheel quite confidently. And now we get on to the, I don't want to say bad stuff, just little annoyances here and there. This is an adventure touring bike, and it doesn't come with cruise control. This is the biggest gripe that people have with this bike, and it desperately needs it. It can get quite tiring, just with your hands up doing the long miles. You can get the Viridian cruise control for this, which is, from what I've seen, very, very good. I will hopefully be fitting that at some point. One thing I haven't mentioned is that this bike comes as standard with an auto blipper and a quick shifter. It is a very, very good as far as quick shifters and auto blippers go. It is still a little bit clunky. Once you're in second and third, you're quite happy to just bang up through the gears. If you've got good engine RPM going, I'd say about 4,000 and up, it is very happy. The auto blipper, this is something that they don't tell you much of, only works when you are completely off the throttle. So if you down gear while you've got the throttle on, it's not going to blip for you, and it is a little bit kind of rocking horse. If you let off the throttle, downshift confidently as well, it will auto blip and it will be a lot smoother. It is clunky on the down. You can't just kind of stamp on it and hope that it's going to work. You almost have to kind of tickle it with your toe and then go. I don't know if that's something to do with RPM matching. However, yeah, the down is a little bit clunky. Once you've kind of worked out the technique, it's a lot easier to use, but finding that kind of that amount of pressure that you need to put on with the right RPMs is a little bit of a balancing act. One other little downside about this bike is the wheels and the tyres. They are tubed. I understand tubes if it's a purely off-road focused machine. When it's primarily a road bike, I still don't understand why they've gone with tubed wheels. It is just a hassle to fix on the road, especially a rear. Trying to crack a bead on a rear when you're on the road is going to be not impossible, but it's going to be a very, very hard thing to do. You can get tubeless conversion kits. There are other ways of kind of bodging it DIY with marine sealant. And I'm probably going to do that at some point. At the minute, I'm still on the tubes. But I think when I switch them over, I am going to run a tubeless conversion kit, because it's just easier to whack a plug in and get on your way than to have to faff around with getting the wheel off, getting the tyre off, getting the tube out, patch the tube, get the tube back in, all of this rigmarole. The quality on this bike in general is very good, but these are crap. They are absolute crap. I've had a couple of offs with this already, and every time that just falls off. Your lever there is out in the wild. It's going to get snapped off. In fact, there's a chap in Australia called On the Back Wheel who used to have one of these. First time he came off, these just broke. Right, so I'm jumping in here because apparently the recording failed. I was just talking about the kind of handguard assembly here. So as I was just saying, this is crap, it falls off. The other issue is how this is all put together. So when you roll the bars up, and you kind of want to adjust all of this, you want to put this stuff down, but you want to put your mirrors back, and you can't, because it's all connected as one. So I was just saying, I'm going to put some bark busters on and new mirrors, which I think is where we're about to pick back up. So the mirrors will be going at some point. They'll be replaced. Once I've done that, this is going to be a cracking machine. This bike wet is 230 kilograms, which when you put it up against its competitors like the Touareg 660 from Aprilia, the T7 from Yamaha, or the Honda Transalp, it is heavier, but it carries it so well. One of the reasons they've gotten rid of the V-twin and the V-Strom is to put a parallel in it so we can keep all the weight a lot further down. It's got a 20 litre fuel tank, which of course is going to put a lot of weight up top, but run it half full for your trails and you'll be golden. Like I say, I have had a couple of drops with it. Insane to pick up, as in insanely easy. With my old Versys, when I dropped that was a struggle to really kind of get it back upright. This thing, bit of an exaggeration here, but you feel like you can do it with one finger. It's incredible how much weight they managed to keep low down. So while it is heavy, once you're going, you've got momentum, you just don't feel it. And if anything, I feel like the extra weight helps the rear tyre bite in a little bit more. I want to very briefly touch on the reliability of the bike. Perfect. I've had absolutely no issues. The electronic suite works fantastically. I've had no kind of electrical gremlins as far as ABS traction is concerned. The oil consumption is fine. Let me just have a look. Yeah, still right there on the top of the two lines. So it doesn't burn much oil, which, I mean, for a 10,000 mile engine, that's kind of what you would expect. I haven't done an oil change on it yet, but I suspect it's going to be a bit fiddly because you're going to need to take the bash plate off, but that's the same with any bike that's got a bash plate. I have one tricky bolt that keeps coming loose. I say loose, it just comes a little bit, and that is actually on my centre stand. I don't know if this is the Suzuki centre stand or not, or whether it's an aftermarket, but the main bolt that holds it on can get a little bit loose. I have to tighten it up every 200-300 miles. And it's not like falling out, it just gets a little bit loose. So just kind of knock that one off. I've had no other issues though. It is just a phenomenally outstanding bike. So the seat height, about 835mm. You can get a lower seat and you can get a higher seat. Again, my inseam, I think is 32. I'm not 100% on that because the mill in inches is 33.5, and I can flat foot this bike quite easily. So if you're a taller person, you're gonna have no problems. Maybe even a little bit shorter, you might not have any problems. So yeah, this is for riders any height really. Skill can overcome any obstacle. But if you're kind of new to it and you don't have all of these kind of short rider techniques on lockdown, I probably would recommend going for the lower seat for you. Who else is this bike meant for? Literally everyone. I can see pretty much everyone enjoying riding this bike, no matter if they're into aggressive sport riding, really hard off-road riding, puttling around green lanes, stuff like that. I genuinely think that this bike is a fantastic all-rounder. When I bought the Versys a few years ago, I looked at it as if it was one of these, and I was quite disappointed, to be honest, when I realised that I'd kind of been sold a lie that it was an adventure bike, and it wasn't. It was a pseudo-adventure bike. It was a commuter sport tourer. This is actually worthy of the label adventure bike. That is really all I've got to say about this bike. Now, what am I going to be doing with it in the future? Who knows? I've got a few routes planned. I'd like to tackle some of the UK Tet routes. I'd like to tackle the adventure country route that we've got. And eventually I'd like to take it on the Tet around Europe. And I genuinely think it's going to be a perfect bike for that. Well, thank you everyone for listening to me waffle on for the past God knows how long while I tell you about the bike. I hope you found it kind of insightful. Like I say, I've tried not to be a spec sheet on this one and give some real world practical kind of advice on this bike. It is brilliant, and if you're thinking of getting one, get one. If you're looking at a Yamaha Tenere, they are great bikes, but half of the stuff that you see online about that, it's the rider, not the bike. If you're an average everyday rider who is not exceptionally skilled, this is the bike for you. This is the bike that you want to get. You don't want a Tenere, as brilliant as they are, you want this. Yeah, thank you very much for coming with me on this one, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the bike, hope you've enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to see what else I do with this bike. See you then.